the world was once far more isolated than we imagine. Mountains divided civilizations, deserts swallowed travelers, oceans were barriers, not highways. Most people would live and die without ever seeing beyond their local region. And yet, thousands of years ago, something extraordinary began to connect the ancient world, not through satellites, not through cables, but through movement, through trade, through human ambition. This was the Silk Road, the ancient world's internet, a vast ancient trade network that stretched across continents, linking distant empires through one of history's greatest systems of transcontinental trade. But the Silk Road was never a single road. It was a web, a constantly shifting system of Silk Road trade routes spreading across Asia, Europe, and Africa, connection zones, forming one of the earliest examples of ancient world connectivity. Across deserts, mountain crossings, grasslands, and seas. 5. These pre-modern trade routes connected ancient civilizations that otherwise may never have interacted. The expansion of this system accelerated around the era of 2nd century BC trade, when powerful empires began stabilizing regions large enough to support long-distance trade. In the east, Han China expanded westward. In the west, Mediterranean powers demanded luxury goods from distant lands. Between them stood Central Asia, the beating heart of Eurasian trade routes. And at the center of it all, silk, the Chinese silk trade, became legendary across the ancient world. Silk export from China was unlike anything most civilizations had ever seen. Lightweight, smooth, difficult to produce, almost mysterious. Roman elites considered it a symbol of status and power. But silk was only the beginning. The Silk Road carried porcelain trade goods, spice trade commodities, glass trade products, metal trade resources, and textile trade materials across thousands of kilometers. Jade moved east. Silver moved west. Horses, paper, dyes, perfumes. 5. And precious stones flowed through interconnected empires in a continuous stream of economic exchange. But here's what made the system remarkable. Very few merchants ever traveled the entire distance. Instead, Silk Road merchants operated in stages. Goods passed from trader to trader across caravan trade routes that stretched through dangerous terrain. Merchant caravans moved between caravan hubs, where products were exchanged, taxed, repackaged, and sent onward again. Across harsh desert trade routes, camel caravans became essential. Camels could survive extreme heat, travel long distances without water, and carry heavy cargo through hostile environments. In colder regions and steep mountain crossings, horse caravans handled routes where speed and maneuverability mattered more. This was not easy travel. This was survival through harsh terrain travel, blistering deserts, freezing mountain passes, sandstorms, bandits. 5. Political instability, disease. And yet the flow continued, because the rewards of ancient commerce were enormous. Along the routes, oasis cities emerged as critical centers of interregional trade. Places like Kashga and Samar became thriving caravan hubs, where cultures collided in ways the world had rarely seen before. These were not just marketplaces, they were engines of historical cultural exchange. Languages mixed in crowded streets. Religions encountered one another. Ideas traveled alongside cargo. This was cultural diffusion on a continental scale. The Silk Road carried far more than goods. It carried civilizations. The exchange of ideas transformed entire societies. Technologies spread between regions. New farming methods moved across borders. Scientific knowledge passed between scholars. Mathematics, astronomy, medicine, engineering, and philosophy traveled through continuous knowledge transmission. This was science exchange. This was technology transfer. This was trade and ideas reshaping the human story. Even art evolved through contact. Artistic styles blended across regions through art exchange, creating hybrid forms influenced by Persia, India, China, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean world. Architecture changed. Clothing changed. Music changed. The Silk Road became one of history's greatest systems of cross-cultural interaction, and perhaps nothing spread more powerfully than belief. The spread of Buddhism across Asia is one of the clearest examples of religious diffusion in world history. Buddhist monks traveled through Silk Road civilization networks, carrying texts, teachings, and traditions from India into Central Asia and eventually into China. Over generations, Buddhism spread to China and became deeply embedded in East Asian civilization. Centuries later, Islam in Central Asia expanded through the same trade systems. Muslim merchants, scholars, and travelers helped shape entire regions through peaceful exchange as well as political expansion. The Silk Road religions transformed spiritual life across Eurasia. This was not just commerce. This was the construction of a connected ancient world, an early form of ancient globalization. But interconnected systems also create shared vulnerabilities. The same roots that carried wealth also carried conflict. Empires competed for control of trade route evolution because taxation on trade generated massive revenue. Whoever controlled caravan hubs and strategic passages controlled wealth itself. Trade conflicts erupted between rival powers. Bandit raids threatened caravans. Political collapse could destroy entire sections of the network overnight. And then there was disease transmission. The movement of people and goods across continents allowed illnesses to spread faster than ever before in ancient history. Some historians believe major pandemics moved along historical trade systems, traveling silently with merchants and cargo through interconnected populations. The Silk Road revealed something humanity would learn again and again throughout economic history. Connection creates opportunity. But connection also spreads crisis. Still, despite the dangers, the network endured for centuries because no civilization could fully isolate itself anymore. Trade and civilization had become inseparable. The Silk Road civilization impact permanently altered the development of Eurasian societies, but eventually the system began to change. New maritime technologies transformed global commerce. Ships could carry larger cargo more efficiently than caravans crossing deserts and mountains. Gradually, maritime trade replacing caravans became inevitable. Sea routes overtook land routes. The old caravan systems weakened. Political fragmentation across Central Asia accelerated the decline of Silk Road networks. The roads faded, caravan cities declined. Trade hubs emptied. Ancient routes disappeared beneath sand and time. But the legacy of the Silk Road never vanished. Because the Silk Road proved something revolutionary long before the modern age. Human civilizations were never truly isolated, even in antiquity. The world was becoming interconnected through global exchange networks of commerce, religion, science, migration, and culture. The Silk Road history is not just the story of merchants moving goods. It is the story of humanity learning how connected it really was. The first great information system of the ancient world, a network without electricity, a civilization-scale web built from roads, animals, memory, and trust, an ancient internet built not with data, but with people. And in many ways, the modern world still operates on the foundations those roots created thousands of years ago. If you found this story fascinating, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected for more deep dives into the hidden systems that shaped human civilization.